So I'm glad you're first because now I can get a little familiar with this whole interview process for today. The scholarships. You were a recipient of this scholarship?
No, we started the scholarship program in 1995.
Okay. So the recipients will come later. They were
Nico and Star, and she just texted me and said, so Nico will be coming, and Mike Foster, our board chair.
Okay, so you started the scholarship. Okay. And it's part of ARC or CHRP? CHRP. Okay. So let's start with a little bit of background on that. Tell me how you came up with the idea for the scholarship, including the name of the scholarship.
Sure. Now?
Yes.
Okay. So we started the scholarship program in 1995, and actually that was the year that our co-founder, Kelly Michaels, passed away. So we wanted to start a program to honor his contribution to the founding of the organization and to his life. So we started giving away 5 to 10 full scholarships to the summer festival every year starting that year. And the program has grown since then. And it expands based on funds available. And the most that we've ever given in a single year is $25,000 of scholarships for the summer program.
To one beneficiary?
No, each one of the scholarships, they're tuition waivers that range between $500 and $1,000, which is basically a carte blanche for a week or for a 2-week immersion experience. So they would come and they would study for 6 or 8 hours a day for 6 or 7 days a week for either 1 week or 2 weeks. And they'd be studying with the greatest living masters of the art form. So it would be a little bit like studying with Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, all at the same time for 2 weeks. I mean, these are life-changing opportunities to study with great masters and geniuses. It takes you to a completely different place in your own work.
How do you qualify for these scholarships?
Well, there are 2 ways that students qualify. We have an audition, so they have to already be at an intermediate or advanced level, or appear to have the potential to achieve that level. Because not all kids have access to dance education, but you can see pretty quickly through an audition process who's got an affinity and potential for it. So some of the kids come in with less prior training, but we see that they have potential. So that can score in their favor. But also people are asked to fill out financial forms. So 50% of the scholarships are also given on the basis of financial need. So it's a combination of talent and need. And then we end up with a pool of scholarship students, some from the North Shore, some from the South Side, some from the West Side, people who don't live next to each other or across the street from each other. And that's part of the scholarship program, is introducing young people to each other in this very intense 2-week program, and they turn into lifelong friends. And now that we've been doing the program for 20 years, we've seen some of these students start companies together. They make art together. They're out in the world doing professional work together. So you can really see how this 1 or 2 week immersion program, which may not sound like a huge opportunity, actually a lot happens as a result of those scholarships.
Great. So you just mentioned how a couple of these students have maybe collaborated together and started companies together. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? More
Sure.
Some success stories.
Sure. Well, I'll talk about a couple individuals first. The first one that jumps to mind is Jamani Taylor. Jamani was a scholarship student for several years. The dates escape me. Maybe he doesn't want me to remember the dates, so I'm happy to accommodate him that way. But he had just premiered a new work called Supreme Love that is beyond anything I've ever seen done with tap dancing and hoofing. Like, it takes the art form to a completely different place. And to whatever extent the 4 years that he was in our scholarship program helped him get to that point, I hope that we provided some of the experiences that fed that creative product. It's amazing. Another young man, Nico Rubio, has just turned into an amazing performer and choreographer. He's touring the world now, teaching and making works of his own. Starina Dixon, who's a great soloist, one of the great virtuosos, really, and for her age, she's so young, and that's one of the things that, again, that the scholarship program does. It's like a booster, a booster rocket. It just takes you to a completely different level. We've got students like Ian Berg, who are at the Boston Conservatory. So just a lot of good success stories. And if I can talk just a little bit about not just the scholarships, but the education program in general. One of our other students who attended our summer festival for several years, Michelle Dorrance, and then she came back to choreograph for the program, and then she came back to choreograph for our company because she won a Princess Grace Award that we applied for together. And then she just won a MacArthur Fellowship. Those awards are called Genius Grants. So again, through our program, she was exposed to about 12 different choreographers, these geniuses of their own. And 20 years later, there she is. She's the genius, right? So we're beginning to see the fruit ripen over the years of the program. The kids, they're not kids anymore, are just doing amazing work.
Describe the Summer Fest. That's what the scholarship is for.
Yes.
So describe that whole program in detail.
All right, well, so the Summer Festival, which is called Rhythm World, started really just as a weekend workshop. It was 2 days of master classes and a single concert. Well, as it grew, and as the students needed more information, because taking a bunch of master classes over a weekend is fun, but it kind of leaves you hungry. You still want more. So we started courses, 4 days. Over 4 days, students could study 6 hours with a teacher. And then we added workshops, which were 3 hours with a single teacher. And then we added residencies, which were 10 hours with a single teacher. Then we started the Youth Tap Ensemble Conference, which was 8 hours a day for 5 days, so 40 hours with a bunch of different teachers. So the program has really evolved to meet the needs of our evolving field. As the dancers keep getting better, they want more. They need more, and you have to provide more in-depth experiences. And so the new kid on the block is IFTRA, Institute for the Rhythmic Arts. And this is actually Nicholas Young's program, but it's a 3-week intensive. They dance and drum and body drum and tap dance for about 7 hours a day for 3 weeks. And it just takes them to a completely different place in their artistic expression. On top of the classes, we also have tap jams where the students improvise together. We have what's called a cutting contest, which is a friendly, mostly friendly competition. 2 at a time, it's a tournament basically. 2 at a time, one wins, one loses. And then after going through many, many rounds, there's one left, and they win the cutting contest. And that's an old hoofing tradition. We have student showcases where dancers can show choreography that they've created, so prepared works. And then we have faculty concerts where you get to see the masters, the people that everybody comes to study with. We get to see them on stage doing what they have spent their entire lives crafting and honing.
Fantastic. That's pretty cool. So going back to Nico a little bit, because he's a tap dancer, I know that you're a tap dancer. He was the winner of one of these scholarships, and now he's blossomed into a teacher himself. How rewarding is it to offer that opportunity to another tap dancer and see him grow as a tap dancer yourself?
It's a great question, and it actually is so affirming for not just for me personally, but for the organization, because that really was one of the major motivations behind starting the organization to begin with. tap dance doesn't really have as many institutional homes as, for instance, ballet or contemporary dance. So tap festivals around the country and now around the world have tried to provide those incubators, those places where people can really study intensively, to take them to continue the tradition, but also to spur them on to greater work. And so to see it actually work as we hoped it would is very wonderful. And what's really great is to see this generation, the 20s and 30-year-olds who were teenagers 10 or 20 years ago, doing work that was impossible 20 years ago. It's like watching the Olympics and the gymnasts doing triples and quadruples when 20 years ago a double was like the big deal, right? I mean, they just keep taking everything one more step beyond what was possible. It's incredible.
Why is it important for outsiders to support the American Rhythm Center and the Chicago Human Rhythm Project?
Well, for one, if you love rhythm, there's a simple one. This really helps keep this American tradition going, and training young people and allowing them to express themselves in a positive way. We need as much positive energy in this world these days as we can possibly muster. And also our scholarship program, which I described as bringing different people together from different parts of the city to learn and meet and end up spending a good deal of their lives together. The art form has roots in African and Irish culture. So we try to design our programs in a way that introduce different people to each other and start relationships, friendships that will last a lifetime. Because we believe that peace is accomplished one relationship, one handshake at a time. So the impetus behind a lot of what we do is trying to foster social reconciliation through rhythmic expression. So it accomplishes a lot of things on different levels. Great tap dancers, and hopefully a more tightly woven social fabric.
I love that. That's a great way to end that. I don't know how we're going to end that video for sure. I think just lastly,
let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Oh, man.
This is the outtakes, right?
The bloopers. If you could leave the viewers, with one thought, what would it be about the Chicago Human Rhythm Project?
Well, I've been doing this for 25 years now, and while I don't plan on leaving tomorrow or next week, I do want to see this go on beyond my presence. So their support will make sure that this work continues beyond me and into the foreseeable future. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make sure that the work gets passed on and that it gets continued.
Great. Fantastic. Anything else? Good?
That's good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.